besties, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video. I'm going to be doing the mid-year book tag. Now I absolutely love watching these videos. Basically, as you guys know, we are halfway through the year. We are in June, our middle point of the year, and I'm going to be answering some questions of my reading journey so far from January up until this point. I got these questions from the previous tag, which I think I did 2 years ago. I don't think I did it last year if I'm remembering correctly. The other questions I have are from Bestie Katie. She added some to her book tag, so if you want to check her video out, I'll link it down below. But I have from those two, and I think I sprinkled some in from on our podcast. We did a mid-year kind of episode, and I think I took some questions from there. I'm not too sure. I don't really know what order these questions are in, but they're gonna be mid-year tag questions anyway. Even if you're not gonna make a mid-year book tag video, definitely answer some of these questions down in the description. Maybe we can get some good recommendations from your answers down there. I tried not to repeat books for these questions because there are so many I could put for multiple of these, and I didn't want to talk about too many books for each question, so I tried not to repeat. We'll see how well I did with that. We're gonna start with the best book I've read so far in 2023. Nope. It's 2024. In 2024, we're off to a great start. I have two books for this answer. The first one has to be Into the Dark by Magnolia. Not by Magnolia Parks. This is by Jessa Hastings. This is part of the Magnolia Parks universe. This is the last book in Magnolia and PJ's point of view within this series, and this just like mended all of the holes in my heart. Not the holes in my heart, but like the, maybe that's not the right way to say that. It kind of patched up the holes in my heart that I got from all the heartbreak throughout this series. They just feel so real and raw, especially what they're going through in this book specifically. It was the perfect way to end it, and it was just like such an anticipated read, and it definitely got me, and it did what it had to do, and I'm obsessed with the quotes in here, the character growth. It was just so good. And then the next one, of course, is Funny Story by Emily Henry. I ate this book up. I love this book. I loved her writing style in this one, and I loved the storyline so much. I said this when I read it and when I reviewed it, but it just felt like so different from other romances, rom-com-y type of books that I read. The way it was set up, the storyline, the two characters, how they meet and how their relationship grows, but also the other stuff that she includes in here. It was relatable. I loved her writing, and it was just definitely is one of my favorite reads from this year. Then we kind of have stats. I don't know why I didn't start with this, but it's how many books have I read this year, and so far, according to Goodreads, up until right now, I have read exactly 70 books out of 100 of my reading challenge goal. I do want to acknowledge that I read for video, so obviously I will be reading more, and that would probably be a lower number if I wasn't reading so many of these books for the videos, but that is a good number. I am proud of myself. I found some great books this year, and I am doing well for my reading goal. Then we had the best sequel I've read so far this year, and this one was hard for me because I didn't read any sequel that I would put for like the best I've read this year, or two I've only just started series. I didn't really go into sequels, so the one I have for this is The Fake Out, which is the second book in, I forget what it's called, the little interconnected standalone series. It's a hockey romance series. I remember reading this and just being really giddy throughout it. You have kind of like a golden retriever hockey player, and I feel like whenever I read hockey romances or sports romances, you have the male main character that's the athlete. He's kind of like broody and grumpy and not very nice, kind of like a player almost, but this one, he was so golden retriever, and it was so fun. It was fake dating. I had a great time reading it. This isn't the best book I've ever read, but out of enjoyment, entertainment wise, I had a great time while reading it. Then we have new release you haven't read yet but want to. I actually have both of them right here. There are so many great new releases this year. It's been an amazing time for being in the book community on new releases, but the first one is Summer Romance, and this one came out recently. I'm definitely gonna read it this month. I'm so excited about it. I read two of her books last month and thoroughly enjoyed them. I loved her writing style. I think they were so fast-paced, and she puts in like the most specific but like perfect amount of each scene and character and like what you need to get out of it. Like nothing ever drags out, so I have high hopes for this one, and I am very excited. And then the second one is Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher. This is the second book after Love Redesigned, and I ate up Love Redesigned. I don't know what she put in that book, but I ate it up. I loved it so much. So I've been counting down the days for this one. The cover is absolutely stunning, and this one is actually, I'm pretty sure, a single father. I think they go on a vacation. It's a nanny trope. I think I'm gonna eat this one up. I'm so excited to read this. Then we have most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Now I have a few for this one because again, so many new releases are coming out this year, but I have to say the first one, first and foremost. We all know what I'm gonna say, and that is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. You guys know, if you watched Finding a 5-Star last year, I think it was last summer, I read that one, and that was the 5-star I found in that video, and I haven't shut up about it since, and I am just so happy anyone that took from that video to read that book, because it is just like, I don't know what it did to me, but it was just so good. I actually reread it earlier this year. That was actually the first book I completed this year, which it was even better a second time around. I'm obsessed with it, and the second book comes out really soon. I cannot wait to get more of these characters of this world of Lauren's writing. I'm giddy over it. I literally can't stop smiling every time I talk about it or even think about it. Like I'm counting down the days. That one is definitely most anticipated, but the other ones that I'm really excited for is Daydream by Hannah Grace. This is in the, I think it's Maple Hill series. This one is about Henry, and I forget the love interest name, but I've been waiting for his book since the first one. Like he has been my favorite character since the first one. What I love so much about the first one is the friend group that they have in there, and Henry was my favorite in that friend group, so I'm so excited to see his story. And then we have A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston. This one I am so excited for. I think just the concept of the story is what I'm most excited for. The main character gets stuck in her favorite romance novel, and that just seems incredible. And then the last one is part of the Rose Hill, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, the Rose Hill series by Elsie Silver. The first one actually came out this year, Wild Love, but the second one called Wild Eyes I'm really excited for, which is crazy. It's coming out the same year the first one came out. Usually you have to wait for the second release to come out. I cannot wait for this one. I can't wait for like this whole series. I'm pretty sure all of them are gonna be single dad. And one thing Elsie Silver knows how to do is write a single dad. Biggest surprise of the year, I have two. I just held up 3 fingers. I have 2 for this one, but one is part of a series, so I have a couple. The first one is the Heartstopper series. This one, listen, I don't go a day without thinking about this series. I only read the first 3. I've been holding off reading the rest of it just because of how much I'm obsessed with them, and I just don't want it to end, so I've had like really big self-control over this. I'll probably read the 4th one soon, but listen, I'm holding off. I finished the first 2 seasons of the show. I'm just obsessed with this, and this is the biggest surprise because I don't read graphic novels. I've always seen people rave about this series, but I just didn't think I would be like interested in reading graphic novels or I would really enjoy it, but I stand so completely corrected. One of the best parts about this is the graphic part of it, because just envisioning what's going on and like seeing it through the pictures is just so much fun. These 2 have like stolen my heart. I'm obsessed with them and their story and their personalities and their friends and everything going on in here. I'm just like, I love it. I love them. These are my children. The next biggest surprise was Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. I knew I was going to enjoy this because this is a women's fictions type of story about 2 best friends from when they first met, like throughout their friendship in their lives, and I love reading about female friendship, but this one is just straight up fiction, so that's not usually the genre I'm most interested in. But I read one of her novels earlier this year. I really liked her writing style, so I knew I was going to enjoy it. Not as much as I actually did. Like this was so good. The way that she depicted female friendships throughout this whole entire thing, and just like these 2 women having 2 different lives but being best friends, and like the things you go through friendship, like throughout the whole thing. It was done so well. I pictured it in my head like a movie, and there is actually a show on it that I haven't watched yet, but definitely a surprise of how much I ended up loving this. I knew I was gonna enjoy it, but not as much as I actually did. Like I tapped this. It was really good. Then we have favorite new author, debut, or new to you. So I did new to me. The first one is Kristen Hanna. I read, like I said, another one of her books earlier this year, and I've just like love her writing. It's so atmospheric. The way that she writes, it literally feels again like you're put into the world and you're watching it like on a big screen. Like the way she just paints the picture is just so good. I'm obsessed with it, and I can't wait to read more of her books. And the way that she writes about things, like when I read the summaries of them, they don't really pique my interest, but I know that she's got it. Like I know she's gonna do it so well. And then the other one is Annabelle Monaghan. I don't really know how to say her last name, but I've enjoyed the last 2 books I've read of hers, and her writing style, like I said earlier, I think I would read any book that she ends up coming out with. They are just so fast-paced, really entertaining. They keep my attention, and very happy I started reading her books this year. Newest fictional crush. This one was like almost a little hard for me. I don't know why. There was no one that like came to my head that was like a new fictional crush, except for these 2. The first one, Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. He's the epitome of acts of service, and if he wanted to, he would. And acts of service is like my love language. Like I just eat it up, and the way that this man was the epitome of it was just phenomenal. Like he cares so much, and the way that he showed it, and if you haven't read this, you need to read this. And then the other one is Miles from Funny Story. I think he was just so witty. Like the things that he would say, and like the little things he would do, I'd be like giddy. I'd be so giddy. It was like right from the start, he's not one of those male main characters that are introduced and you're like, okay, he's extremely attractive, you know, all this stuff that you usually get with male main characters in romances. It was like he's going through it. It was the things that he said and like the actions that he was doing to Daphne and like with Daphne and showing her. I just loved him. I think he was great. The next one is Book That Made You Cry. I actually have a few of these ones. I don't actually cry to books often unless it takes my heart and like pulls it out of my chest. I feel like I cry frequently on my channel. Like there's definitely a lot of videos of me crying to books, but just a select few that are like, they get me. They really do get me. The first one is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Genuinely did not expect to cry as hard as I did. I didn't really know what I was getting into with the story. All I heard was it was slow paced and the basic synopsis of it. When I got to like the last maybe 100 pages, tears. And I'm pretty sure I read this in a video somewhere on my channel earlier this year, and it was like, this book really got me. I was like sobbing, like couldn't catch my breath. Then we have the other Kristen Hanna book I read a few months ago, a few weeks ago, I don't really know. I feel like it was recently, but The Nightingale. This one I knew was gonna make me like tear up and have an emotional impact on me just what the story's about, but the way that she wraps it up at the end, like that's what truly got me. It was like almost happy tears, but like sad tears mixed in. Like it was a lot of emotions at once that I was feeling, especially going with these characters through this whole story and seeing what they have gone through, especially one of our main characters. Like by the end of it, like you go through so much with them and you see like how it's wrapping up. I literally couldn't catch my breath with this one either. Into the Dark definitely made me cry. I think I was like 2 chapters into this and I'm like sobbing, especially what this book kind of like is centered around. There's a lot of tears happening throughout, and also you've been with BJ and Magnolia since the beginning and seeing where they came from into like the conclusion of their relationship, at least for the series. It's like tears, lots of happy, sad, emotional stuff going on. I don't even have to say any words. Like this is a silent review of me saying like, yeah, can you tell this one made me cry? Look at the cover of it. I mean, the tabs. I've read this in reading sad books video. I haven't like gone back to it just because of like, I don't think I'm ready to, and like that's really telling of how emotional this book was. Don't take this book lightly. Please look up trigger warnings. Please be in an emotional state where you can handle trigger warnings, even if you think that you can handle them. Still, I'm telling you right now, be in the mental state where you can read this. There's like one part of this book that like genuinely got me so good. I'm like trying to find it, just yeah, okay, time to close that book before I start crying. That's why I haven't gone back to it, because opening up to any page in that book will get me like this. Okay, on the whole other side of the spectrum, books that made me happy this year. The first one I actually read on my Kindle, and that is You Deserve Each Other. This was a romance, but the structure of it was definitely different. They're already together in the beginning. I think they're engaged to be married, but their engagement is like so off the rails and they're not getting along, so they're kind of being really petty to each other. And I think just being, especially in the female main character's point of view, the things that she would like think or say and do to him while they're like being petty and going at each other made me giggle many times, and seeing them kind of like try to mend it, but like the communication was kind of off. I wouldn't say this is like an overall happy book, but like while reading it I definitely like giggling at some point. And then of course we have Heartstopper as well. I remember reading the first one and just being giddy, like just giddy the whole time, like just seeing them become best friends, and then like slowly, I don't know, they do touch on like heavier, deeper topics within this graphic like series, as so far from what I've read. I don't really know about the 4th and 5th one just yet, but even watching the show, like smiling, completely smiling and just so happy. The next one is the most beautiful book you've bought this year or received. I have a couple of these and I'm just gonna have to shout out a couple people because these I have received. The first one I got for my birthday, and it is this Kingdom of Ash edition that my boyfriend got for me. It is the most stunning thing I've ever seen like in my entire life. It's the most beautiful blue, but the holographic like pink purple of it is so stunning. The spine of it is stunning. The back of it with the quote, the little sword dagger and the, you know if you know, one of my newest prized possessions. And speaking of prized possessions, this artwork behind me, so shout out Bestie Desk, because this is like the most insane gift I've ever gotten, and it is the most beautiful thing I've ever laid my eyes on. This is the Throne of Glass series, but it is just literally an art piece. Like this is the most beautiful thing ever. The spines tell a story, the edges tell a story, and there's little overlays that come with it and bookmarks, and it is just so absolutely stunning. Like the way it starts with Assassin's Blade and like the dark, and then it gets lighter as you get to Kingdom of Ash, the stag. There's quotes on each one and little things that represent the series so well. It is actually my prized possession, and I wish I could frame these and hang them on my wall. They are so stunning. And then last but not least, one of the most beautiful series ever that I've received is this version of the Magnolia Park series. The spines are stunning with these little like bookmark things that come out, because each one has a specific symbol for each book that's just like, if you've read the books, like you know what they mean. They have quotes on the back, they have a little symbol on the front. There's absolutely stunning. Bestie Amanda, who sent them to me and does these, I will link her Instagram down below if you're interested in any of them. They are absolutely stunning. The next one is what books do you need to read by the end of the year. I have a couple of these. I don't really have any that like I really want to read by the end of the year. I do have a TBR list for like 2024 that I would like to get to, but none that I'm really specifically like really would love to get to. But there's some series I'm in the middle of that I would like to complete. So the first one is An Ember in the Ashes series. I started this first one last month. I'm in the middle of the second one right now, but I'm not too too much of in a fantasy mood, so I'm waiting until I am to get back into it because I really think I'm gonna enjoy it. And then we have Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. I read this first one earlier this year and really enjoyed it, and I know that's part of an interconnected standalone series, and I really want to read the stories of, I think the next one is her friend, but I've been thinking about it recently and I definitely want to pick up the next one and complete this series as well. I don't know if there's more coming out. I think that there is a third one. I don't know if it's gonna be a trilogy. I'm not too sure, but I know the second one came out this year and I really want to read that. And then we have the Beartown trilogy. I read this first one again earlier this year, really enjoyed it. I didn't rate this one a 5 stars, but I did say in the video where I read it that if I reread this, I think I could give this 5 stars. Like, this is such a thought-provoking book. Like, this one's really good. I loved his writing style. I would love to read another one of his books this year, so maybe put that under one of the questions of books I would like. Oh, that's this one. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? I would like to read another book by him, but also complete this trilogy. Again, I'm waiting until I'm in the mood for it because these books are definitely a little bit heavier and I just feel like I need to be in the mood for them to really enjoy them, and I feel like I'm gonna enjoy the rest of the series a lot. The next question is how many 5-star reads this year, and I wrote them down and I only gave 3 5 stars this year, which feels so insane. Like, I don't know how I only gave 3. I mean, there's some books I gave like 4.75 and like a series that feels 5-star, but the actual books aren't, which the books that I actually gave 5 stars, the first one is Funny Story by Emily Henry. This one wasn't my first 5-star. This was my second 5-star. My most recent one was Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna, and then the first one this year was Into the Dark by, I keep wanting to say Magnolia Parks, but no, by Jessa Hastings, which is so crazy because I feel like I haven't really given out, well, obviously I haven't given out many 5 stars. I did reread Powerless this year, which is a reread 5-star, but I didn't count it because obviously it was going to be a 5-star again. And then also Just for the Summer was a 4.75, but like some days I'm like, no, this is a 5-star romance, but then some days I'm like, no, it's not. So it's not like a secure 5-star, but like maybe we could count that. And then I don't really know how I rate graphic novels. Like, I don't really have a scale on how I rate them because it's my first ones by them, but I've given these all 4 stars, but like this series in my head is a 5-star because of how obsessed I am with the characters and the graphic novels in the show. Like, I'm so immersed in the world of Heartstopper that they feel like 5 stars to me, so do with that what you will. I mean, they feel like 5 stars in my heart, but the books I gave 4 because I don't really know, like, I don't know. That's just how I've rated them. So hopefully I'll find more 5 stars this year. Let me know if you want me to do another video finding a 5-star because apparently I'm picky out here. I'm being picky. And then we have what books do I want to reread this year. The first one is Beach Read by Emily Henry. Of course I want to reread this one. This will be my 3rd time reading it. There's something about this book that will do it for me every single time, and somehow I know I'm gonna fall in love with it even more. Like, she knew what she was doing with this one. I'm obsessed with everything about this book and I cannot wait to reread it. I'm currently rereading Happy Place, which I would have put as an answer under this question, but I'm currently rereading it and it's going fabulously. I am obsessed with it. And then another one where I'm not like 100% sure I'm gonna reread, but I would love to at least someday, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Again, my expectations weren't too high with this, and then I ended up giving it, I think, a 4.75. So I would love to go back in here and like annotate and really like get immersed in the story because I know it is such a beautiful one. And then maybe we'll throw in Beartown because I did say it could be a 5-star on a reread, but I don't know if that'll happen this year specifically, but I would like to reread this at some point. So books you've been putting off, so where did it go? The first one is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I think at this point I'm putting it off right now in this moment because it's summer and it just doesn't feel like I should read this in the summertime, but that's kind of an excuse. I think I'm putting it off because I heard such great reviews about it and like raving reviews about the whole series, so that's kind of why I'm like hesitant to see if like I'm gonna enjoy it or not. I've been putting it off, but I definitely would love to read this once it gets fall time. Like, I feel like that's the perfect setting for this, and I know I need to get to this, but I have been putting it off. I know I have. And I know I said I wasn't repeating too many books in these questions or these answers, but I'm putting these off for a good reason. Like, I love them so much. I never want it to end. I know I'm gonna read the 4th one soon, but I am 100% putting these off. And then we have a book you enjoyed with mixed reviews. I couldn't really find one for this. The only one I thought of is my recent read. The most recent book that I finished was Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. I've seen some mixed reviews on this, but I did have a good time reading it. This isn't my favorite Ali Hazelwood book or my favorite read of the year. I think because my expectations were a little bit low for this one, just because I heard that it was more spicy than her other books, and that's not really my favorite kind of romance, but there was a plot, there was emotional depth to it, and I had a good time while I was reading it. I really loved her writing style, or I really do love her writing style. 5-star predictions for the rest of the year. As we can see, I don't give them out often, but fingers are crossed, and I'm so hopeful that Reckless by Lauren Roberts is going to be my next 5-star read. I just feel it in my bones that I'm gonna give it 5 stars. From what I read in the first one, and also her writing style in the novella Powerful, I can't imagine it not being a 5-star, so we'll see in a few weeks when it comes out and I read it what's gonna happen with that. Those are all the questions I have to answer in today's video. I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know if you've read any of these books, and please answer some of the questions down below. I'll have them in the description like I said. I'm very very interested to see everyone's responses. I've been loving watching these videos. I think they're so fun. Seeing people's reading journeys and like their favorite books or like least favorite or whatever of the year so far. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you did, and I'll see you hopefully in the next one. Bye!